It's time to take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy.
It's time to take a TO with coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Your new favorite podcast features conversation from the world of high school, college, and pro sports, along with other riveting content. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, or visit www.turnerando'neill.com. Be sure to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, and other popular podcast platforms. We also bring you Inside the Podcast each week, where you can view the podcast via our YouTube channel. Join the thousands who watch each week. Thanks to our partners, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Healthy Baller, the Insurance Alliance Group LLC, our sponsors, O'Neill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. And our donors, Justin O'Neill, Winsight Media, and Redwood Investments. Take a TO with Coach Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. Now we welcome you to today's episode as we take a TO with coaches Turner and O'Neill. Here's your host, Kurtis Cross.
Welcome to episode 20 of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. I am your host, Kurtis Cross, and with me as always are coaches Steve Turner and Casey O'Neill. Don't think I didn't hear you making fun of my intro when I walked away, sir.
We're just practicing, that's all.
Whatever, you're going to end up writing your own episode. You understand that, right?
And that could be a good twist on
Whatever.
Episode 20...
25.
25, 26?
Episode minus 4.
We could switch this.
We can switch, that's fine. Each
Welcome.
week, we invite you to the table and into the studio for our podcast where we discuss high school, college, and pro sports along with the occasional conversation that we feel must be had. We enjoy mixing it up, hosting a variety of guests, and building our listening and viewing audience. Listen to us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and just about anywhere podcasts can be found. You can also come inside the studio via YouTube each week. Greetings to each of our listeners and viewers. This is episode 20. We'd like to thank our partners, Healthy Baller, the Tamara Cusick Team, Insurance Alliance Group, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, and Dynamic DJ Entertainment. Last week, more than 3,500 of you tuned in to our episode From I Street to the Ivy League. We enjoyed interviewing Luke McCaleb and Jordan Abdur Raouf, and we encourage you to go back and take a listen to episode 19. Now, let's hear from our crew. Fellas, how are we doing this week? How was the weekend?
Beautiful weekend. Got us back here for another Monday.
Of course.
Excited to be with the crew. Take a TO, Turner and O'Neill crew.
Yes, sir.
And ready to talk to a couple good buddies of ours tonight.
All right. Coach O'Neill, how's it going? Talk to me about your weekend, sir.
Weekend was beautiful. Had the fire pit out Saturday night.
Uh-oh.
Did a little s'mores with the neighbors and my daughters. Did a little grilling. But, quick story. I went to the mall for the first time in a long, long time. And I will say this. You remember Montgomery Mall, right? Mm-hmm. And they do a good job about how many people go in the stores and you can't sit in the restaurant. You know, but I went with two 11-year-old girls.
All right.
And to say that I got ditched is an understatement.
Uh-oh.
When we walked into that mall, they were gone.
Gone.
So I had to figure out what to do for an hour. I'm not much of a shopper.
Right.
So for 50 minutes, I just kind of wandered and walked and looked around and stared at the people. These girls ditched me. Two 11-year-old girls ditched me. But I did finally come out with a new pair of Chuck Taylors.
You got a new pair of Chucks?
Yes.
All
I got
right.
a deal on the clearance rack. So that was my weekend.
A lot of good deals going on right now.
Yeah. It's they're
Started Black Friday early.
Yeah, they did. And Home Depot says they got Black Friday for the whole season. That's what they say.
I need to check on that because I got to get a desk for my oldest one. He just moved into his own apartment this weekend.
Okay.
So glad you said that.
Yes, sir. DJ Krissy is our engineer. Krissy, what is the latest?
We've got episode 20. Kind of excited for that.
Yes, indeed.
Looking forward to next week.
Oh.
See, here we go.
There's some plotting going on, man.
I thought I was the one that...
We're going to get to that.
We better watch out. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
we better
Next
watch
week
out.
is going to be exciting.
It's Thanksgiving week.
It is Thanksgiving
We have a
week.
lot to be thankful for.
We do, and it's
man.
all going to come to a head next week's episode. with Krissy behind the controls. Look, guys.
Hold up. Are you in on the Zoom call at 7:30?
Yeah, we're going to be playing zone defense. 4 strong women,
I'm running late right
3
now,
Bamas.
so
I'm running baseline to baseline.
We got to do this episode
Take a charge.
really quick so I can make my Zoom.
She has a FaceTime she has to do at 7:30.
Okay. All right.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Wow.
Well, this week we go inside the locker room with 2 top assistants in the Gonzaga College High School program. Mr. Juan Hill, Coach Turner's top assistant for many years, will join us, and we will also have Jeff King, who has been a mainstay with Coach O'Neill for years. We will hear from those 2 gentlemen about what it's like to contribute to your programs. So as Krissy alluded, next week we are not taking off for Thanksgiving. We are going to be right here in the studio, but we will have company as the wives join us. Leah, Erica, and Paula will be right here, and let me tell you, this is going to be fun. The wives take a TO, meaning they will take over the podcast for a special Thanksgiving episode next week, so do not miss the fun. That will be episode 21 next week. Here's a quick mention. Our guest from episode 13, AZ Fudd, made her commitment last week to be a UConn Husky. They now have Amari DeBerry, 6'5" forward from the Buffalo area. She is ranked 3 at her position, 15 overall in the United States class of 21, and she's a Team USA player. Caroline Ducharme, a 6'2" guard who's ranked number 3 at her position, number 5 overall in the country. AZ Fudd, we all know her, Team USA, and she's number 1. There's not a 1/whatever. She's just number 1 overall. And Sailor Poffenbarger, 6'2" guard from Middletown, Maryland. She's number 13 in her position, 30 across the U.S. She's also Team USA. UConn women will play with 10 fresh women and 0 seniors. They are going to continue to be mixed up to the top of the conversation for years to come. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's pretty simple. My thoughts on that: the rich get richer.
Right there it is.
Right.
I mean,
but it's hard. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it's hard it's hard to say no. I mean, Gino has done an unbelievable job. He runs that program. I mean, when you look at him, I guess it's what you would say is the equivalent now to what Calipari's built at Kentucky.
Right.
Where the rich get richer every year, and the best of the best are going to go there because they know it's an opportunity to be in a position to fulfill their dreams.
Sure,
they all want to be professional players.
But I would put Gino and the UConn women Huskies 10 echelons higher
than no doubt.
Than the Kentucky.
No doubt.
You know, maybe sort of compared to Duke, but they're still highest. I mean, they are the premier college program, and not just basketball. I think all of them. I mean, you could look at Clemson and Alabama in football. You could look at Stanford for certain other athletics and you know, lacrosse and whatever.
What has impressed me is that he can replace and he continues to keep them at the top. Like, even when he loses some of the best ever,
right?
They're still right there, and they're always going to be in that top 4. They're going to be in the conversation every time we get to March Madness.
And I think he comes with the honesty, with the care, the inside-out coaching that I think parents of that who have daughters of that stature that want them to be in his program. I mean, clearly he's doing something right, but good for AZ. What a sweet,
and she gets to go be with her girl
tough,
Paige.
Awesome lady. So happy for her, and I'm so glad we had her on this podcast.
And happy belated birthday to AZ. She was 18 when she declared for UConn. Krissy, let's go to break, and we're coming right back. O'Neill Development is a construction, remodeling, and development firm that has been active in Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and the Eastern Shore since 1975. O'Neill Development specializes in custom residential work, providing extensive pre-construction and construction services. Find us at www.o'neilldev.com or call 301-840-9310.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Coach Turner here. Check out this week's episode drop and tell a friend to join the team at Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill by following, subscribing, and liking the show. One headline is brought to you by
Insurance Alliance Group manages the gap between damage appraisal estimates from your insurance company and what you are rightfully owed based on your policy. They work on behalf of policyholders with claim assistance and disputes to maximize claims. Insurance Alliance Group serves as professional advisors and trusted advocates. The Insurance Alliance Group handles business and home property laws. Visit us at insurancealliancegroup.com or call 866-574-4773.
Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are up to our one headline. And our headline this week, Kyler Murray.
First of all, you're a bad boy when your name is just the headline.
That's it, right?
I mean, plain and simple. Your name's the headline. Not no sentence, not anything leading into who you are. Kyler Murray. But I'm going to say this. One, it's been exciting to watch him grow every single week.
Yeah.
And for the record, he is now my football's version of Chris Likes. The little guy that just gets it done.
Getting it done.
No matter what obstacles you put in
Hard
front
over
of him.
height.
Hard over height. He gets it done. And it's exciting to watch for a guy who, as we talked about, pre this show tonight, is going to go drafted, to go play baseball. Decides to give up some guaranteed money and something he's pretty darn good at to say, you know what, I'm still going to chase my football dreams. And now he's made it. I'm going to say this, NFL, beware, because there's a heck of a lot of good young quarterbacks right now in the league.
You know, you lead me right into what I wanted to say. Well, first off, with Kyler Murray, his QB rating goes up. I was watching from last year's rookie year. Went up. It just goes up and up. So it's not like he's just like, I'm going to use my athleticism. He's clearly spending the time in the film room.
Yes.
He's clearly probably spending time before and after practice to continue to be a better passer. We all know he can run and scramble. But think about the NFL right now, and I'm willing to go on record to say that right now, this day and age, we have old and young. This is the best the quarterbacking has ever been. And I wrote these names down. Listen to this. So you got Lamar, Kyler Murray, Mahomes, all right, some of the young guys, Brady, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Big Ben, and then you have more young guys, okay? You got Josh Allen, you got Tua, you got Burrow, Deshaun Watson still. I still think Deshaun Watson's got some things to do.
So do I.
Right.
I didn't even mention Drew Brees. I mean, that's about that's about four. And even though I hope he does okay because he took a pretty bad hit. But think about the names I just mentioned right there. The NFL, it's the best it's ever been, at least in the last 2 decades.
I mean, think about it.
You have the old, you have the young.
You don't even have Dak playing right now.
You don't even have Dak playing right now. And I just think that this young man is just going to get better and better. We are blessed right now to be able to watch these guys on Sundays, Monday nights, and Thursday nights.
You know, I think some of it for him too is we always say the draft and where you go. Sometimes that's a big changer in who you are. Their system fits him to a T.
It's perfect.
And then the weapons that he has to be able to sling it out to, and the ability to be able to continue to use his feet when he has to. Whew.
And then Larry Fitzgerald, somebody that's just like the old wise man who just gets it done.
Right?
Reminds me of Art Monk back in the day too, doesn't he?
I think I saw a stat that said Larry Fitzgerald has not dropped a pass since like week 8 of 2018.
Steady.
It's crazy.
Steady. They've built around him. So
You forgot Johnny Manziel.
no, you forgot about Johnny Manziel.
And that is your one headline.
I'm Coach Casey O'Neill with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Advertising opportunities are available, so why not gain the exposure of our listeners by becoming a donor, sponsor, or partner? Simply contact our producer, Kurtis Cross, and we can get you started today.
Thanks to our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group, LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development, LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. Our donors, Redwood Investments, Justin O'Neill, donor, and Winsight Media.
Winsight Media, connecting the food and allied retail industries through research, media, and events. Visit www.winsightmedia.com for more info.
Redwood Investments. We are a private investment firm providing growth capital for acquisitions, roll-ups, and management-led buyouts. Visit redwoodinvestments.com or call 202-333-1395.
If you have a question for the fellows, submit your question or show idea right on our website. Go to www.turnerandoneil.com and click Submit Your Idea.
The Become a friend of the program. Friendship level contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Friends of the Podcast. Portions of the podcast were previously recorded. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. The starting five. Ladies and gentlemen, we're up to our starting five. 5 questions for each coach. They get 30 seconds each. They can defer once per round of 5. Here we go. I'm glad we have enough shows under our belts that we can, you know my cues and you know I'm going to make a mistake.
The buddy system.
The buddy system,
it's
yes.
like the belay, just
He's my buddy. He's going to hold me accountable. I'm going to go to Coach O'Neill first because you spoke right into this one. Pick one. Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, or Russell Wilson?
Oh. So I'm going to use close to my 30 seconds here. Is this anybody I can use to start a franchise, or who just pick it? Top guy.
You're gonna pick one right now to. Okay, let's go with this. Game-winning drive.
Russell.
Okay.
And not to knock those 2 young guys, but Russell Wilson, I'm going to take him 10 times out of 10 because of his experience, savvy, and hit it.
Start a franchise. I'm going to make it a 2-part question. Start a franchise. So you're going to start them with right now and this year.
Then I'd go back and I'd go to Kyler Murray.
All right. Coach Turner, Kyler, Tua, or Russell? Game-winning drive.
Game-winning drive, no doubt. I'm going with the veteran, Russell.
Right. Starting a franchise.
I got to go back to when he started, And I think because of what Kyler's done, probably would be the easy choice. Russell Wilson was a bad boy when he started this thing off too. So I'm going to stay with Russell.
Going Russ.
There you go.
I'm coming back to you. Your 3 musts on the Thanksgiving table.
Man, you can give me just a dish of mac and cheese, so that's number 1.
All right.
But it's got to be done right.
It's got to be your sister or your grandma?
That one, and I'll tell you who else, man. Hats off to my man Devin Williams, my current assistant coach.
Oh, he can burn too?
That dude makes an unbelievable 4-cheese mac and cheese. It's
right.
Unbelievable.
All right.
But mac and cheese, gotta have turkey and gravy.
Okay.
And that, I know that's 2 things. They go together.
Y'all finish it up.
Ding, ding, ding.
He doesn't mind the ding.
I don't mind the ding. And my 3rd, whew. I'm going to go with a little spiral ham.
All right. Coach O'Neill, your 3 musts on the table.
Number 1, stuffing. But the stuffing has gravy just draped all over it.
Okay.
I got to do that. I've got to go with the green beans, okay, as well. And everyone, of course, turkey. You're going to get the turkey. But my brother-in-law makes these oysters, like this oyster stew, every year in Thanksgiving. Now, granted, we're not going to see them because we all got a distance.
Right.
But I got to have it. It's unbelievable. Or Paula's deviled eggs that we enjoyed tonight. I would have that anytime.
You'll take that. We'll have to have some for next week. All right. Coming back to you, Coach O'Neill. Assemble your dream team of talk show guests for 1 week. Dead or alive, who would be on your talk show? Or let's say, would be on this podcast. You have 5 guests. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, this is tough. I don't know if I know 5. Okay.
And it might be like your 5 people you want to have dinner with or something.
Johnny Carson.
Okay.
We're talking about that. Johnny Carson would be number 1. I think Conan O'Brien is hilarious.
No, it's your talk show. You can have anybody in the world.
Oh, I thought you were. I had to come up with the talk show.
No. So start his clock again. He's remedial.
Ding.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So it might look like your dinner, who you'd have at dinner,
Okay, who would I have at dinner in a talk show? Let's see. Let's go with Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm going to go back to Johnny Carson. I think Johnny Carson would have some great guests that he was with. I would clearly have to bring in, Phil Jackson. He's come up a lot, but I think he would be fun too. And then 2 more. Michael Jackson
All right.
And, man, who's my last one here? Oh, man.
Roy Rogers?
Roy Rogers it is.
Coach Turner.
These are hard.
Bringing 5 people to this podcast, 1 per day. Who you bringing in? I know you're bringing in 44.
I already got him coming to do a dinner with me. So
right, so you're good.
Actually,
so we're good.
Real quick, I'm going back. I'm bringing John Wayne, the original cowboy, the actor
okay.
John Wayne.
All right.
To take up for Roy Rogers. There you go.
Biggie Smalls.
All right.
Ooh.
I am going to have to bring the GOAT on. MJ.
Yes, sir.
See, I'm messing up because I know who I want to say last. That's the problem.
Right. I hate when I do that. Yeah.
So I said, what do we say? We said
2.
Oh, goodness. I'm definitely getting dinged on this one, but I don't care. This is tough.
That's 2 weeks in a row I made it tough on you guys.
Very.
Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Jimmy Fallon.
Okay.
Michelle Obama.
There we go.
Look at that. That's a long 30 seconds. That was a long 30 seconds.
She looked out. Appreciate you.
I'm coming back to you. Wow, I got to write some easier questions. Build your ticket to the Olympics. You get to go for 1 day and witness 5 different events. Which 5 do you want to go see?
Winter
and summer. You can combine
they can be
them.
combined?
Yeah.
Oh, I get 5?
Yeah. I know mine.
Men's. Can the sport be combined in terms of the?
No, it can't be men's and women's gold medal game.
All right, that's cool. I'm fine with that. It would be women's beach volleyball.
Okay.
Men's and women's soccer. So that's 2 and 3.
Right.
The obvious. Men's basketball.
Right.
Men's boxing.
I would probably go men's gold medal game basketball, women's gold medal game basketball. I would probably go 4x100. I would go floor exercises, gymnastics, and then I'd probably go the 4x100 swimming.
Okay.
I like that. I'd definitely go with the soccer gold medal game. Whatever Usain Bolt's running, I'm going to be there.
You're going.
Wherever he's running, I'm there.
Okay, so that's your second event.
And then what does he do? He just comes in. What's his move?
Doesn't he go like that or something like that?
Yeah, I thought he does just this whole ice hockey. Got to see the ice hockey gold medal game.
I forgot all about winter.
And last 2, those gymnastics. Thank you for saying that. Just to see those young ladies on there on the floor, just
men do it too.
Yeah, I know, but I think the women do it better.
Yeah, they do.
They do it better. And the downhill slalom.
That's going too.
See him coming down. Yep. There it is. There's my 5.
All right, coming back to you for the last one. Name your most proud humanitarian moment.
That I've done, or just for 5 years we brought our team to Children's Hospital, and during those 5 years we did a thing called Be Brave and Shave, where we shaved our heads. We raised over $100,000 in 5 years for children battling cancer, but it was actually bringing my team, when we were allowed to the hospital and being able to hand out Gonzaga Lacrosse jerseys, shirts, hoodies to children that are fighting something that they should not be having to deal with, and meet those families and have the team see that, because it's right up the street. So for right now, that's one of the top ones right there.
I can't argue with that. Coach Turner, proud humanitarian moment.
I'm going to take myself back to grade school. We had a young man who was physically disabled, and recess time was kickball. And so I would always try to be the guy to be able to get up and kick the ball for him, because he still had to get around the bases.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to kick that thing. We had a center field. There was a fence to the people's yards. So my goal every time was to get it slow and bouncy, and I'm kicking it over so Chris could get a home run.
Love it.
You trying to put that thing to the fence, huh?
I'm putting it over the fence into the yard because you're not going to get over the fence.
No.
You're too scared to go jump the fence without getting in trouble.
Right.
So that's going to give Chris enough time to get around the bases and get a home run.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your starting five. The starting five.
Hi, this is Coach Casey O'Neill, and I'm inviting you to join me, Coach Turner, in the Take a TO team for this Thursday's episode drop.
Since 1939, the Collins family has served families of Montgomery County and Greater Washington with dignified professional service in their time of need. We continue the same family tradition today at our funeral home located just off the Beltway in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our family of experienced funeral directors stand ready to assist you around the clock 365 days a year. Whether you wish to pre-plan or you have experienced a loss, please contact us to discuss how we can assist you at your time of need. Call 301-593-9500 or visit collinsfuneralhome.com.
Become a friend of the program. Friendship level contributions start at just $25. Each contribution helps to fuel Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. To find out more or make your contribution, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by...
From Washington, D.C. to Ocean City, Woodbridge to Columbia, Richmond to Virginia Beach, the hottest DJs are right here. The Mid-Atlantic Professional DJ Association.
Can you feel the power? You become the star right here with the DJ Krissy Karaoke Show. Choose your song and step to the mic.
Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first guest has been with the Gonzaga men's basketball coaching staff since 2002. A graduate of Archbishop Carroll and Virginia State University, Juan Hill has been a staple on Coach Turner's bench for years and has contributed to the success of the Gonzaga Purple Eagles for 15 plus years. Here to take a TO with us today, please welcome Mr. Juan Hill. Juan, thanks for taking a TO with us today. How's it going, sir?
Pretty good. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's going great. How you doing?
I am fine. And gentlemen, Coach Turner, Coach O'Neill, I believe you know this gentleman.
Coach Hill, Coach Turner here, man. Thanks again for coming on tonight. Appreciate you.
Coach.
I consider it an honor and a privilege, Coach. Thank you.
Coach Hill, Coach O'Neill here. It is good to hear your voice. It has been a while. I hope you were doing well. Thanks for taking a TO with us. And ready to get inside the locker room with my man, Coach Hill.
Yeah, we are.
Sounds good. What's going on, Casey?
Hey, man, all good.
Welcome to the podcast. Let's jump into the conversation. Coach Hill, I've seen you as a mainstay on the Gonzaga coaching staff for years. While we all recognize Coach Turner's efforts in always fielding a competitive team, such success comes from an entire coaching staff. What have you seen as your role in making all of that happen?
Well, I'm blessed to have been there from the beginning. Coach Turner and I were on Coach Meyer's staff, and we won the championship 2003, went back in 2004, and the next year Coach Turner took over, and I tried to be the best right-hand man I could be.
Well, you know, I've seen you on the bench. I don't know if you remember meeting me. I've seen you on the bench, and we know it doesn't happen without a solid core of people who support and uplift each other and all that. So I'm thanking you for helping out my buddy, Coach Turner, and being a part of that.
Coach Hill.
Oh, thank you. Like I said, it was my pleasure, and I consider it a privilege, and to watch Coach Turner grow and to help him turn the program into a national program was very rewarding.
Yeah, it was.
Well, Coach Hill, we all know, at least I know this much, you know, being behind the scenes and working there in all the games, that it does take a village, and quite frankly, it takes the assistant coaches, the staff, and everybody to make that program go where it went and how it continues to grow. But I want to ask you this. You know, every practice behind the scenes in the locker room, right? Coach Turner, he's barking out the calls and doing things. But what was kind of your mindset every day in practice to sort of adapt and adjust to the kids? And what was your sort of your go-to with each player? Did it change, or was it always the same each year?
Well, it always changed a little bit here and there. Try to keep the wheels going in the right direction the coach wanted it to go. And sometimes that meant talking to individual players, talking to groups of guys, just trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, on and off the court.
Coach Steve here. Talk to us about your why.
Okay.
You've been around this game forever. We've had, first of all, these people don't understand and don't know that, number one, you've got some of the most unbelievable, incredible stories about just basketball in the DMV and growing up in the midst of it, growing up around some of the best players ever playing in the DC area. Talk to the listeners right now about your why and why you're so passionate about the game and about being able to give back and helping the young men and women of the DMV, because I think people may not even realize also, Coach, that you coach the women's side of the game as well.
Yes, well, I consider it, again, an honor. And I started coaching when I was young, 11, 12 actually, and then I stopped for a while. And I was probably in my 30s when I was trying to decide what really was my passion and what was I here for. And it came back to I miss coaching. And so I tell everybody all the time, the first I had the means to get back into it. I just happened to stop by an old CYO school I went to, an activity, and it turns out the coach had to quit coaching the 5th and 6th grade team because of family problems 1 week before the season. And so I took over the team, and I haven't been involved in coaching CYO at all, and we were horrible. But by the end of the year, we didn't win a game. First round of the playoffs, we played the number 1 seed, and they barely beat us by 3 points, and we got better each game. And so I started working Gonzaga camp the next year, and the next year that CYO team was one of the top teams in the city, and I started coaching the Gonzaga. Steve, I always say I was the 13th man on 12-man staff, but because I was older and because basketball meant so much to me and I was passionate about it, I came in not messing around, and I went to work immediately.
Wow. Well, Coach Turner has mentioned loyalty to us always. And when he mentions that, he mentions you and how he thinks highly of his staff, and really knowing that each coach is an extension of his philosophy and the philosophy in general on I Street. What does it take to get to that point of being that well-oiled machine? I mean, when he takes over, I know you guys coached under Myers, but how long does it take? And talk to me about the moving parts of getting it to be this national powerhouse. What does that take?
Well, I'll never forget that first year. We were about 500. It was still, we were trying to decide what was next to get us to where we wanted to go. And Steve and I had a conversation at the end of the year. Coach Myers gave us a lot of responsibility. He coached one summer league, the Rock. He coached Band of Brick, and I coached the Rock. And again, during the year, we had big responsibilities. And so we just discussed where we wanted to go, and we knew how to do it. And let's get back to the basics and put that work in and start building. And so from that point on, I think slowly but surely it started to happen. And Coach Myers had a great system, and I always thought, what could happen with that system if we had, and they had great players here and there. They were always better than the sum of the total of the parts. But I wanted to get a bunch of parts and still have that system together, and Steve felt the same way, and so it worked out for us. And like I say, a lot of hard work behind the scenes, but it became a reality.
It sure did.
Coach Hill, we all know that teams and coaching staffs don't get anywhere without a little bit of adversity. And you just mentioned a little bit of it, right? Building the program and working through those tough times. But can you think of any moments where you could share with us, where you and Coach Turner, whether you butted heads or you had to work together to fix a problem, whether it was on the sideline or in practice. Anything come up? Would you kind of take us inside that, in that window there where there's some moments of we got to get through this or disagreement?
Well, the one thing that stands out in my mind is, so we had, after we won the championship in 2009, we kept getting to the championship game, but we couldn't get over the hump. And then I got an opportunity to be a head coach at Tacoma Academy. And for a lot of different reasons, it hurt me to leave, but I had to give it a shot. And so they won a big-time program, but they weren't financially ready for it. We had 2 good years, but then I came back to Gonzaga. And my first year, I wasn't on the varsity staff. When I came back, I just did JV. That was Chris Jenkins' senior year. The next year, I was on the varsity staff, and it was the first time probably since Steve and I had been together that we were horrible. It was a long year. And first thing Steve did was he made a decision to give each of us 4 or 5 players that would be our group to focus on. And my group was Chris Likes, Prentice Hub, Brian Crawford, Sean Williams, just the name, the main part. And again, we that year we were horrible. I remember sitting in AAU. Before I left, we won 6 straight DC Classics. I had never been to the first game on a Sunday morning, and we lost all 3 games. I remember sitting in the gym with about 100 people in there. It was like, I can't do this ever again. This is not what I signed up for. And so that next year we won the championship, and then there was one more moment after we won the next year. We had a great team. We ended up melting down at the end of the year. And Steve came to me. He was like, Coach, what do you think I should have done? What should have happened? And I just told him, I know you have faith in your guys and you turned them loose, but I think we turned them loose a little too much. And he agreed and said, don't ever let it happen to me again. And I said, I got you, Coach.
True story.
And we went to the championship the next 3 years and won 2 out of 3.
Yes, sir. True story.
Love it. It's exactly what I was looking for.
Juan,
yes, sir.
Talk to some guys out here who are now sitting in the seat you've sat in for a while, the assistant coach, right next to the head coach. I think our relationship has been pretty special in so many ways that maybe we don't get to talk about one-on-one, but I certainly feel it. I know it. And I think you kind of just talked to it a little bit there, is that I always came to you to ask questions. And that trust factor. I think people miss out on that in a lot of ways because sometimes they want to move too fast. They're worried about getting into those next 18 inches. And give some of the assistant coaches out there who are potentially trying to become head coaches some things that they should really look at doing as it pertains to being that guy, that loyal, that trustworthy guy to their head coach, which eventually will give them opportunities to get what they want if they do their job while they're in that job.
Well, exactly. A couple things. Number one, so even again, I started out 13-man, 12-man staff, and I was a little bit older and maybe a little more mature, but I knew what I wanted. But I stayed in the gym, whatever Coach Myers needed, I was there to do whatever. He didn't even have to ask me sometimes. I was just working. And you and I did the same thing. And then when you became the guy, I was not only your right hand, but I also, again, still continued to work, still tried to plug all the holes, tried not to overstep my bounds, but be there whenever you needed me. And I remember Eric Singletary, when he took over Sidwell's the same year I went to TA, and we both said, we talked about you as opposed to people just don't know how heavy the head is that wears the crown. And I was fortunate enough, I had a guy who I trusted, and having been that guy, I knew how important it was to have a guy that you can depend on and trust.
Right.
And I had Pierre Gaudet who was willing to do all those things that needed to be done. Everybody wants to be the man. Everybody wants to and I understand receive credit for their work, but if you just put the work in and continue to work, you're going to get where you want to go. But you got to put the work in. You got to put your ego to the side sometimes. It's not about you. It's about, again, I always knew that it was your program. As much as I wanted to help you, much as I felt a part of it, at the end of the day, it was your program. And so I didn't have to necessarily agree with everything you did, but I had to support it, and I agree with most of it.
Thank you, Coach.
You know, Coach Turner has had cause to call you to lead this ship sometimes. Most notably when he had his Achilles injury, it was your team to lead. Please tell us about that experience and how did Steve support your efforts when you were the guy in the first 18 inches?
I remember it like it was yesterday. And because when the guy heard, he turned around and looked at me like, what you do? I didn't do I didn't do anything. And so, and the next game really, it was pretty funny because it was a senior night. Mm-hmm. And while I was the coach, Steve was there, and though he was drugged up in his wheelchair.
Coach, I found a picture from that night.
Coach, and I felt privileged just to keep the thing moving in the right direction. And when he came back, he couldn't get up and down. He had to sit down, which I don't know, might have been a blessing in disguise. But I knew I had to be a little more vocal in certain points and continue to support him, but also pick it up on my end as far as being a little more vocal than usual.
Right. Okay.
Coach, I want to get my last question here. I want to get a little bit more of that humor. What can you give one instance of one of the more funny coaching staff moments where could be on a bus trip, plane ride? Keep it PG, please. But at the same time, it's just something where you're like, only at Gonzaga, something good.
Well, there's so many, I always try to keep it light and have a good time with it. The one thing that comes to mind, and I don't know, Steve didn't really find it quite as funny, but we were something that happened. I know. Miles Dredd had went to Penn State, and Coach Devin, we get on a bus getting ready to head to the airport.
Oh, I know this. Go
and
ahead.
Coach Devin was missing a pushing incident. And I never forget, we went back to the championship game, and it's the end of the game, and Miles keeps jumping up, getting on the court, and Steve caught him over, got him off, pushed him off the court. And so we assistant coaches were like, well, that push ain't gonna ride with your coach. And we just started laughing. And he had to break down laughing eventually, but
They was picking on me.
But first he just gave us that look like, okay, guys. And then he started laughing too,
I love it.
All right, Juan, my last question. Going back to the success at Gonzaga, what is your standout moment? Meaning, if you were to direct the final frame in your final scene at Gonzaga, which moment on or off the court do you want the camera to fade to black on that scene? What scene is that? What's that defining moment for you at Gonzaga?
Well, I can get to that easily because I had this discussion with a couple of friends of mine. We were a couple of guys who coached. After I had stopped coaching, we were talking about, they asked me that question. And it hit me, I had to think about it for a couple minutes, and it hit me. After that year when we were horrible, and Steve and I both were like, we can't do that again. That's not what we do. Flash to the championship game, and that overtime win against the Master, and I'm not really in a lot of the pictures after that because I was sitting on the bench just watching the scene. I was like, this is what I signed up for. This is what we do. I'm back. I love it. And that was, at that moment, I was having that discussion. It hit me. I was like, that's it.
That's that moment, huh?
And I just took the whole scene in. Again, I didn't get in a lot of pictures. I just sat there by myself, and I just focused on, that feeling of all the hard work coming to, fruition and paying off in the last moment.
Well, Juan, I think Coach Turner has one more for you.
I've actually got two for you. One I want you to put out there. Juan, you weren't always the social media guy, but but now you got it going, and you have a series that you're writing about profiles of passion. Talk to the listeners about what that's about and what it means to you.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach. I never was on social media, Instagram, Twitter, none of that stuff. And so after I stopped coaching, I did my 20 years, won that third out of 5 years championship, fifth championship, I decided to shut it down and go on to my next part. And so probably I was moving down. I moved down to Florida actually, but I came back because of the COVID. And I was my final project, I wanted to be something special. Again, basketball is something I'm very passionate about. Helping young kids on and off the court has been a blessing for me to be able to do that. And the love I receive back from the kids as adults is very fulfilling. And so I wanted to do something to encompass that. COVID hit, I came back home, and one of the kids who ended up not playing basketball was a kid I mentored. I was discussing some of the things I wanted to do, and he was like, Coach, you got to get on social media. I was like, I don't really do social media. And there's a kid named Julian Hank Sanders. It's like, Coach, get on there tonight. And so because I trust him and appreciate the young man he's become, I got on there, and when I signed up for it. And then I was like, while I'm doing that, until I can get back to what I'm doing, as Coach knows, I've always talked in front of camps at our camp and other camps, and I got stories for days. And so I decided to start sharing go back and start sharing some of these stories. And I call it Profiles of Passion, about what kids who come through the program, who I've had a chance to watch grow up from kids to young men, and the passion that they brought to it. And it's really a precursor of what I want to do as soon as this COVID thing breaks, or in the very near future. It's called Projects of Passion. So I believe that any kid who's passionate about this game, if he's shown the correct way and taught the correct way, can become the best basketball player he wants to be. And that really goes for anything you want to do in life. If you're passionate about it, I believe that can be done if you have the right guidance. And so the response I've been getting from doing just what I've done so far, and I think I've done like 7 or 8 different profiles. I do one every week, has been tremendous. I reconnected with a lot of kids who come through the program, a lot of adults, people I've grown up with. And so thanks for bringing that up, Coach. I appreciate it. And
Nah, Coach, that's amazing, and I know it's going to come out great. And so far, the ones that I've been able to read that you've put out have been incredible in the story. I mean, you gave me an opportunity just to reminisce as you started talking about those guys, and I know there's some things to some of those stories you'd love to be able to add, but you probably won't put out there.
Uh-oh.
Those are for
so there's only so much I can do before I run out of writing up. So avoid, we try to just stick to the basics. and that's a great thing. I got stories about all these kids, and we can, as adults, I can sit with them and we laugh about it and things that they go through in their growth and their maturation process.
I'm going to send you some videos that Mark Stern sent me today, and they were from when Mark Thomas had the high school sports show. And you'll be able to reminisce, because he sent me some pretty darn good ones of the crew, Stanley Hodge and Luke Owens and those guys, and some pretty big wins that we had that were highlighted on the show. So I'm going to forward those to you today. My last thing before you go, I don't have you with me on the bench anymore, and I'm going to tell you, I miss you. I miss having you there. You've been unbelievable in terms of supporting me and supporting what's been going on with the program. You've been more than just a friend, also a mentor, because there's a lot of advice that you've given me over the years that I certainly know that this program wouldn't be where it is without some of the things that you've told me when we just sat one-on-one, and we're open, honest, and candid, and I appreciate that. I'm asking you right now for a favor. Give me the two things. Okay. Give me the two things that you think I need to do to keep this ship rolling in the right way.
Oh, okay. right at top of my back. Again, I know the guys you have on your staff, pretty good staff. And so one of the things when I came back the second time, I got to be the old guy who's been around a while and could wrap everything up for you. And everybody wants credit for doing things, and I kind of let everybody do their thing and try to find what was missing and add that to it. And so just keeping everybody on the same page, keeping everybody hungry is easy when you've been at the top to get complacent, but that's really when you have to attack even more, as you know. And just keep everybody digging and working, and understanding again the big picture.
Oh man, Coach, thank you. That means a lot. Oh, good.
You're welcome, Coach. And again, it was a great, wonderful ride, and thank you for allowing me to be a big part of it.
Oh man, you're welcome.
Juan, before we go, I just want to personally thank you for the loyalty you've shown to the Gonzaga program. As you may know, Coach Turner is one of my friends, and I know that the program's success is not his alone. It belongs to you. It belongs to Devin. It belongs to Byron and a bunch of coaches who have contributed to the program. So thank you for that. I just want you to know that 2008, 2009, those were some good times. I sat there in Verizon Center, and I talk about this all the time, watching him win that first championship. It brought tears to my eyes because my buddy got that championship, and I know that those things don't happen without that great support system. So thank you for that. Lastly, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Juan Hill.
Coach Hill, appreciate you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Juan.
Miss you, man. All right, good luck, continued success.
Thanks, babe.
Gentlemen, that's Juan Hill. You know, it doesn't happen. You can't raise a child without having that village of support. You can't be successful at work unless you have those coworkers and that support. They're bringing you in, they're training you. And you can't have a successful athletic program without guys like Devin, without all of them, but you got to have that guy, right? Yeah. He's got to be, quote unquote, that guy that will call you to task, right? Who will tell you, Coach, I understand what you were doing here, and I understand X, Y, Z, but this is what we needed there, and I just want you to think about that for next time. They got to make you accountable, right?
I mean, I think the thing that I learned right away was to never surround yourself with just a bunch of yes men.
No, never that.
I think the smartest thing that I probably did in my first year was, one, making sure that I had Juan on that staff, but also another gentleman by the name of Bob Wagner.
Yeah.
And Wags had done it for so many years as a head coach in the DMV, Northwestern, coaching Len Bias, having some great teams over at St. John's. And the two of them never held their tongue, certainly did it in the right manner and at the right times, but were always giving advice, but never putting it in a way that you got to do this.
How much knowledge was there between those two?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, I was blessed. I couldn't have asked for a better group to start with. And then I had a young guy with that group, Howard Blue, who's now head coach over at Georgetown Prep.
I know that guy. Played
at Gonzaga, and he's going to do some great things over there. And so I was blessed to be surrounded by some talent, to say the least.
You absolutely were. Great men that at the end of the day, if I'm a parent, right, and they know the head coach, right, the name, but it's the behind the scenes with those assistants that really develop the relationships. You could go back with a lot of kids and they can go, yeah, my head coach, and he led us to battle, but it's those practices, those 6 a.m. We're getting up there to work out, and there's Coach Hill, or there's Coach Garfield, or there's Coach Harper, or there's Coach whoever it is, working the kids out before school, after practice, having those one-on-one meetings with them. Good cop, bad cop, right? Coach is hard on me, pulls me out. Who's going over to those kids to put their arm,
it's got to
immediately,
be
because he's got to be able to. It's got to be those assistant coaches. So there's all those moments that people just take for granted that great assistants, they just provide. So.
Well, we're about to get the skinny on you, fella. One of your assistants.
Yep, he's coming up.
Your assistant is coming up, so stay tuned, folks. We're coming up in just a moment with Mr. Jeff King. Krissy, please take us to break.
Train like a Spartan. Next Level Lacrosse is dedicated to providing a terrific lacrosse experience that is intensely focused on player development and character formation. Players at all levels will improve significantly through professional coaching and carefully designed training programs that stress proper technique and a tireless work ethic. You'll find us at www.nextlevelspartans.com.
Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerando'neill.com.
If you are looking to increase sales and gain exposure, partnership opportunities are available. Contact our producer, Kurtis Cross, today to get started. Email turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com to get started.
This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by Real Estate is more than just houses. It's about people, too. The Tamara Cusick team offers an all-inclusive approach, making the home buying and selling process efficient, financially smart, and stress-free for you. From home prep-up to complimentary staging, expert counsel to an experienced and qualified team of professionals, let's chat houses. Visit www.tamaraforhomes, that's the number 4.com, or call 301-780-4663. Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ladies and gentlemen, our next guest was a 3-sport high school athlete and a 3-time All-Patriot League lacrosse player and 3-time captain at Lehigh University. His time at Lehigh included being named Defensive Player of the Year in the Patriot League. Now, as he approaches his 12th year on the Gonzaga Lacrosse staff, Jeff King is here to join us today. Please welcome Gonzaga Assistant Lacrosse Coach, Mr. Jeff King. Jeff, thanks for joining us today. How's it going, fella?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm good. Coaches, please welcome Mr. King.
What's up, Coach King? Good to talk to you here on the podcast, my friend. This is awesome.
Coach O'Neill, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing better now that the defensive coordinator, the brains behind that defense, is with us tonight.
Coach King, Steve Turner here, man. Glad to have you on tonight.
Steve, how are you? Glad to be here. Hope all is well.
I'm hanging in there.
All right, we got to get down to, look, Mr. King, I don't know you. I'm Kurtis Cross. I'm like the producer of this show and all that. We got to start off with the important stuff. Welcome to the Fathers Club. I heard you're a new father.
Yes, sir.
How's that going for you, sir?
You know, it's going great. It has been a huge blessing and awesome to start that journey this year. My wife and I couldn't be happier. Our son Charlie is going to be 6 months this week, and time is flying by.
Ooh.
And we're excited to hopefully be raising a future Gonzaga Eagle as well.
All
which
right.
will be exciting.
Are you getting any sleep though? That's the question.
Dad, me, yes. Wife, not so much, but we're doing pretty good. We're sharing responsibilities well, and things are good. So,
well, I don't know you that well, but this is the one piece of parenting advice I will give you. Hey, man, you're doing a great thing, and it's the best thing you'll ever do.
Amen.
Coach O'Neill has a question for you.
Coach, speaking of having that child and sort of before COVID, right before the season shuts down last year, you know, my heart still breaks for the class of 2020 and the season what could have been, but it would have been really tight, Jeff, you know, with the birth of your child and the end of our season, I think, going back into it. But just kind of go back, if you could, to last year, you know, giving a shout out to some of those guys and your thoughts of our group, because we were the spring season that got lost, and any thoughts you got just for any of those kids listening?
Yeah, sure. Great question. Great topic. I mean, going into the 2020 lacrosse year, I mean, you and I, we were talking that this was a group that had clicked from day one. Was a group that you could see the fire in their eyes from day one, and they were so excited to start their own journey this year. And it was so tough to see that all taken away. but the month we spent together, even if it was about a month, still has tremendous memory for me. We played 2 tough as nails games, one against McDonough up in Baltimore on a Saturday, and then following up against BL on Tuesday. And just in that short time, to see the perseverance those kids had to have a tough loss on Saturday, to kind of see the writing on the wall for Tuesday, strapping it up in what was a hard-fought, almost championship-type caliber game, and come out on top against a quality component like BL, one of our traditional rivals, was tremendous. And that's something that I truly will never forget. And we'll never forget the celebrations that night because we knew we were celebrating our short time together. That's and right. To those seniors and captains, they did a hell of a job, and couldn't be more proud.
Absolutely, which included you and I guess I dancing in the locker room after that game.
Uh-oh. I want that video.
Go ahead.
Jeff, Steve here.
Oh, it's out there.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, I was blessed to be able to spend basically a season with you guys, sitting on the bench, traveling with you guys on the road. I'm very observant in terms of like coaching style, coaching passion, how guys interact. Like as much as watching the games and being into it to support you guys, I really took the opportunity when I was there to really watch you all as a staff and your interactions. I see you as a person who's really passionate about what you do, very detailed oriented. You really get your guys on the defensive end doing things that you need them to do to be able to support in your assistant role, Casey, but also in your coordinator role. Where did that passion come from?
A good question. I'll be honest. I mean, that passion has come from, it's come from my parents. It's come from my background, from my upbringing in Long Island, New York, where I had to work for everything I ever did, whether it was sports, whether it was school, whether it was trying to go buy something for myself and working early. And, those core values were started when I was just a young boy up in Levittown, New York. And that has kind of carried through where, my parents taught me hard work, the refusal to lose, the competitiveness. And, it's something that, I learned from not only my parents, but different mentors along the way. And I want to make sure that any student or person I come across I can instill those same values, and hope that they get the great opportunities that were forwarded to me as well. So it really starts from day one, to be honest, Steve.
Thank you, Coach.
Jeff, I'm the one person behind the mic who has never seen a Gonzaga Lacrosse game, and I think that's going to change the next time you guys get to play. So all I look at is the stats, and I see the results. And I take a look at the Gonzaga seasons over the past few years, and I'm seeing several games where your opponents are scoring in the low single digits. As the defensive coordinator, you lead the team in those defensive efforts. So what goes into your style, and why am I seeing scores like 21-3? How do you get those guys? I'm seeing that. I looked at the 18-19 season, and I'm seeing 21-3, 17-4. Tell me, how do you get that out of your guys every time? Everyone knows lacrosse. I mean, you wouldn't be upset with, well, you might be, I don't know, but a 19-11 win, but I'm seeing low single digits. How are you getting that? Because you got to keep them hungry every time. What does it take to get there?
Well, a little bit. I'm not going to lie, Casey. You can relate to this. It's a little, make it, take it, right? You score, you get it back again. So Casey's got a lot of the credit there. So I can't take all of it. But I think, looking back at it, one of the things that I go into in every single game in preparation for all games is I try to pick just one theme for our high school students to concentrate on, because making it too complicated for them is going to distract from the overall goal of the game itself. So I pick on one thing that I know is going to be impactful in the first quarter, so that if they do it right, they can see the benefits of it. And then that starts to latch on, and then they buy into the game plan, and that kind of carries through for the rest of the game. And then we just build on that and change the theme every single game. Other than that, it is a challenge to get to find that motivation factor day in and day out. And a lot of that comes from myself coming from a high-paced industry, like the construction industry during the day, and coming into work, being able to erase everything from the day, but then be able to give a new set of passion, a new set of competitiveness to all the boys to make sure that they are giving it their best all the time. It's truly a what's the word I'm looking for? A challenge just to get there every single day, and that's part of it.
Well,
hopefully that makes sense.
Take it easy, man. You don't have to keep everybody under 5 goals. I'm just letting there's a kid out there who wants to score, but not against Coach King's defense.
No. The problem is we have some of those games, but as Jeff knows, he's like, we look at the schedule every year. We play some of the best teams in the country, and he's like, oh boy. Right. But that's the fun. You ask the kids and you ask the coaches like Coach King, do you want to play this team or do you want to play that team that's ranked in the top 10 in the country? And 10 times out of 10, every kid is going to want to play those games. So where I want to go with this, Jeff, is a lot of people know how competitive I am. And Jeff King might be more competitive than I am. Or close to it. And I think that bodes very well, Coach King, in terms of the kids feeding off our energy to want to compete. I talk about on the podcast all the time with kids. We want kids that want to compete. But somebody like you who just wants to, whether it's, we could be playing cornhole, we could be playing pickup basketball, anything with Jeff. He's going to want to compete and teach this. But where I'm going with this, with this Coach King is, you get the unit, you try to get these guys collectively, and you got some great defensemen and goalies in the program, and you got to get them playing as a unit, as Kurtis was just mentioning. But what's the mark? How do you balance that with the unit and then each individual player there? Because everyone who wants to get on the field and play for you on the defensive end, but you can only play 5 or 6 of those guys. So how do you balance, Jeff, the collectiveness of that defensive group and then the individual kid tying into each of those individuals? You get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, no, I do. And it's a good question. I think you might stump me for a second on that one. But I think that the way I approach it is you got to show the path to growth for every player on your roster from top to bottom. If they're your number one on the depth chart, you're talking high school, but you're talking college to keep them motivated, keep them always wanting to be better. If you're talking to a lower team member who's on the depth chart, you're talking to them about the team wins in practice to get them to the point where they're ready to step on the field, and when they get there, it's their time to shine. There is a collective balance to make sure no student thinks that a door is ever shut. Because if they do think the door is shut, then you're not gonna get the best out of them on a single base on a single day. So keeping the conversation going, the communication going, not being afraid to talk to a student athlete who may not be having a good day or may not understand what their role is on the team, and over communicating that to give them something to strive for and shoot for is the name of the game. And then when and it's tough to do in our high school season. We're practicing for 2 weeks and we go into an onslaught of games. It's so challenging. And fortunately we've had a good enough record where, everyone's able to ride the excitement of our record and the fact that our practices are almost like games in themselves where we just, beat each other up and roll the ball out and have some fun. And it always ends up with usually you and I, in Casey, just having at it towards the end of the practice. You usually lose. But we can't in practice until we score an offensive goal, and then everyone can say yay, and then we all get to go home.
So I get to leave smiling.
So sometimes we'll one of my D guys will just slip by accident just to make sure that we can go home before dark.
There you go.
Now we're getting into it. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ooh, I like that. Give us the real Coach King. I love it.
There you go.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Coach O'Neill, you got
Turner. I was thinking about.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I was thinking one of my favorite memories of us, you and I going through this, last 10, 12 years we've known each other, was thinking about that time we were up at Haverford driving Mr. Jenkins in my wife's old dirty Honda CRV from the hotel to an interview. And then we went up the next day and we knocked off Haverford in the snow pretty convincingly. One of our bigger program wins in the last 10 years.
I got an unbelievable picture from that game that I've got to get blown up.
Yeah, to the audience out there, Chris Jenkins had made the NCAA game-winning shot, 4 days prior to beat North Carolina at the buzzer. And then he comes and visits our team because we're playing up in the right by Villanova a couple days later. So he comes and sees the team, and you guys are hanging out.
That was good.
That was cool.
That was a good time. Hey, I'm gonna play dad here. Dads don't usually get to have these questions of the coach.
Okay.
So I got a 6.5 long pole. Missed the year last year because of injury, and then certainly would have ended up missing the year had he made the team with COVID. What are some of the characteristics and some of the things that you're looking for in a kid who wants an opportunity to play with your defensive squad?
Never takes a playoff. There's a look that every student athlete has in their eyes when you're coaching them up and talking to them, and it's that the look that they're giving back to you, whether it's the right one or not. Good communicators need to make sure they're not only communicating with each other, but also with coaches, being open and honest with each other. And then it's the competitiveness, never give up, all the accountability, all the things that Casey and I and the team stand for, and as well as the school Gonzaga. If you can do that, and some of that is instinct, you can then teach the world to anybody. So those are the things that I am looking for. Does that make sense?
Nah, that's great. Thanks, Coach.
Let's talk some tense moments. Look, Coach O'Neill stamped this episode, all right? So it's okay to spill the beans. I want to hear about clipboards flying. I want to hear about the Gatorade cooler flying off the table. I want to tell us about the tense moments perhaps where there may have been some professional disagreements in the coach's office and you decided not to go upside Coach O'Neill's head.
This is a PG podcast.
We can edit.
No problem.
We can edit anything. So you talk about it.
I'll be honest with you. It happens every single game.
Oh yeah.
I don't get to call timeout.
Oh,
King is not allowed to call timeouts. Only Coach O'Neill can call timeouts, and he only wants to call them when they benefit his side of the ball. and not my side of the ball.
Oh please! So I've given up.
Sometimes there's a couple of coaches that have to hold me back on the sideline to ensure that I get to at least have a chance to put my defense in a good timeout position. Every game, no clipboards, no nothing, just some choice words, a good stare down, and then we go to our opposite sides of the bench.
Look, I may have seen him more than you over the past several months because I got to see this guy I got to see him at least twice a week. So I know what it's like. So he's on the opposite side of the table. I will flip this table and reach across this table on him 1 week. So I know what you're feeling like.
Look, we didn't sign this episode up to be let's gang up on Coach O'Neill. And at the same time, what Coach King is trying to say...
Wait a minute. We don't need an interpreter. He said it.
We are into the games. We are fired up. He's gotten plenty of timeouts over the years.
You're a timeout hoarder. That's what it is.
There have been a lot of moments where it gets a little fired on the sideline.
I've seen it.
But you know what?
It's fun to
Jeff,
watch.
I will say this. I think the kids understand the mutual respect, and they know after the games that we're the ones dancing with them. We're the ones that are in those meetings that are telling them how great they played or the things we need to work on. So it's all in good fun, but
how many timeouts do you get per game, Coach O'Neill?
You get 2 per half.
He can't get one of those? You can't
He gets them. He's just sitting here saying
it doesn't sound like it. You know what? We got to have an intervention. You a timeout hoarder.
Jeff, see what you started, man.
You a timeout hoarder. Okay.
I would agree with you. Timeout hoarder for sure.
That's my man. Best guest right here, Jeff King. My man, Coach Turner, what you got for him?
I don't know if I got anything after that. But, Jeff, What made you become an assistant coach? How did you get into it at Gonzaga?
Sure. How I got into it. So when I moved down to DC from after I graduated Lehigh in Pennsylvania, I didn't have a big collection of friends. Didn't really know many people. The few I did, both went to Lehigh, and then they both were Gonzaga alums. And they introduced me to Coach O'Neill, another fellow Lehigh alum. And they said, hey, why don't you, there's a head coach, is a Lehigh guy. We'd love to get your opinion, come down for a couple days, take a look around, talk to the team, see what you think. I did that. From day one, I thought Casey and I had a great rapport from all the characteristics we've been talking about, mainly around our competitiveness, our love for the game and love for coaching kids. And he asked me to come on board. The timing was right. With work, I was able to kind of balance the best, really well at that time. And I went for it, and it's got that addictiveness that I just can't give it up. I do it for the love of the sport that's given me so many opportunities through the years. I do it for, kind of going back to the first question. I just want to pass along all the information that great people have given me and hope that our student athletes can learn a couple different nuggets here and there, and they can be successful in life.
I can say as a guy watching it from afar, and again, I've had a little bit of an opportunity to watch it up close. You do a hell of a job, and as a guy who's a guy of I Street, I appreciate you. Thanks for doing what you do, Jeff.
Yeah, Coach.
Thanks, Coach Turner.
Even with that timeout comment, which I knew it was coming, but
Well, he didn't get into coaching because he knew he would get timeouts from you.
No.
To answer your question, Coach Turner, why did he get into coaching? It wasn't for the timeouts.
No, it wasn't. It's so he could go and work with a fellow competitive coach. But I will say this: we over the last, it's been 12, 13 years since you've coached with us. I mean, it's no mystery. Coach King comes in that first season. We win a championship, right? Things just continue to button up just a little bit more. The kids respect you more than you'll ever know because I talk to, I get to see them day to day. You're coming in as an assistant coach, in the spring season. And, it's been a great relationship and somebody that, I only want to be around people that want to compete and people that, as we mentioned before in the last segment, that aren't just going to sit there and say yes, yes man kind of guy.
Right,
no, Jeff is going to give you the business, and I think that's what's made our relationship, what it is. So I just want to thank you, Coach, for all that you've done the last 12 years.
Well, that's
getting me all fired up here.
All right, yeah,
let's go.
Let's go.
You gotta wait till like February.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Here's my last question before we close this thing out. I have something on my script here. I'm not going to read that. This is what I want from you. I want you to direct the last scene of your coaching career, your time at Gonzaga. What does that last scene look like? What is your pinnacle moment? And we're going to go out and we're going to fade to black on that one. What is that moment for you at Gonzaga? The one standout moment, be it a championship, be it a time where you and Coach O'Neill had a moment where he really put trust in you, or what is that moment that we're going to fade to black and call that final scene?
You talking in the future or the past?
Well, no, I don't want you to build the moment. I want a moment you've already experienced that you would put to film.
There's so many from the whole time, from our whole time together, to be honest. But the one, I was thinking about this today, what's the one thing that sticks out in my mind? And, it goes back to year one, that championship game against Anatha, where here I was, just year one in. We were, I could see the excitement from Coach O'Neill and some of the other coaches who were Gonzaga alums about what Gonzaga Lacrosse was becoming. But me being a newbie, I didn't, I saw we had a good team, but didn't truly understand. And the heart and desire of the comeback of that game in the late third quarter and early fourth quarter, and to see how that's lifted a community of Gonzaga Lacrosse is something I will never forget. And it's a wave that we are still riding and hope to ride for the next 25 years.
Good thing y'all used all your timeouts that game, huh?
We
yes, sir. I might have gotten one, maybe.
we used them wisely that night. That's for sure.
You got that win, Jeff. We want to thank you for joining us today, and especially want to thank you for contributing to a program that, aside from the lacrosse field, builds young men of character. You know, we've had a few of your players on the podcast, and we can certainly see that there's more to lacrosse, or there's more than lacrosse, being taught down there on I Street. Thanks for your loyalty to strengthening the Gonzaga young men. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jeff King.
Thank you, Jeff. You were the man.
Appreciate you, Jeff. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
All right, fella. So you get this guy, Jeff King. He sounds like he's fired up, and that's what you want. I mean, you're going to have some guys that, you know, like you said, good cop, bad cop. You're going to have some guys that talk to the guys, you know, over to the side. But this guy sounds like if you tore your Achilles, he's ready to step in and not take your job, but ready to lead as you would want him to.
Jeff, and I could tell him this all the time, or he should know this. Jeff could be a Division I coordinator or head coach. I mean, he's that good of a coach. He's that good of a mind. Okay. He is that good of a defensive mindset. But again, he wasn't coach. I mean, he had just kind of moved to the area. But you heard him talk about his upbringing in Long Island, right? Only child, blue collar, tough Long Island guy.
Strong Island.
Sorry, Jeff. His Jets and Mets. He's a Mets fan too, which you would love.
Oh, I got to get together with that guy.
Yeah. But look, the experiences in life works in funny ways. How he kind of came into our lap because of those connections. But you know, the mornings that we've spent together, the long phone calls after practice, the long meetings in the mornings before some workout, dealing with the parents, the arguments that we've had in between the games, like all these experiences that he and I have gone through, and then to be able to say we've, you know, won 9 championships and won over 200 some odd games and sent, you know, 14, 15 All-Americans, a lot of them at his position, and good cop, bad cop. We're both kind of the bad cops in a way because you don't want to get in trouble with Coach King. You don't want to get in trouble with me.
Right.
But it's his honesty and it's his truth that makes the kids respect him so much. He's not going to mince his words. He is going to tell you exactly how he's feeling, and that's all the kids really want. I'm kind of alluding to my quote later on tonight as well.
Well, here's my question. I think I already know the answer to it. So you get a bad flu in March.
Yeah.
You have no doubt he's running it the way you want it to be run.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
You're gonna be FaceTiming though. You're gonna be trying to give instruction, right?
Well, I mean, look, we have a great staff, and these guys all know that like Jeff he's the right hand man, but they all do an incredible job. I mean, you've seen the guys that I have down there, from Jesse to Neil to Thomas to Nick to John. But
when you empower them, then you know you can turn your back, and they have the program's best interest at heart.
All of those guys, and he is. He's just a fun guy to be around. He's a fun guy to hang out with, and the kids respect the heck.
He might know a thing or two about lacrosse, huh?
He does. He does. He absolutely does. So,
guys, thank you for having those two gentlemen on here. I'm sorry, did you want to speak to that, sir?
Nah, you guys hit it, but I mean, I just have been, you know, I've become such a big fan of lacrosse,
right?
And I've enjoyed the experiences and getting to know Coach O'Neill's staff. And, you know, building a brotherhood and friendship with those guys. And, you know, Jeff and I, we've talked sometimes. It's funny because he seems like he's a lot like me before a game. He's got this nervous energy. He's ready to go, concerned that his guys are going to step on the field and do the right things. And I'm always telling him, man, you guys got this. And he'll tell me later on, you were right. But he's a great coach. Even better than that, he's a great human being.
Yeah.
And love having him on I Street.
Yep.
All right. We'll be back in just a bit. A² Home and Office Solutions. A² is the go-to source for home and office network and audiovisual solutions. They will link technology to your lifestyle seamlessly. Visit homeandofficesolutions.com for more info.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our friends of the program: Richard Butts Jr., Jean and Clorinda Carter, Sean Clifton, Paula Cross, Justin O'Neill, Susan and Brendan O'Neill Sr., Amy O'Neill Richard, Damian and Brooke Stevenson, Marcus Taylor. If you'd like to become a friend of the program, go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Become a Friend. We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerando'neill.com and click Submit an Idea.
This segment of Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is sponsored by
Ray Cruz. Take advantage of historically low mortgage rates for your first, next, or refinance mortgage with Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage. Ray believes the home mortgages should be about relationships. With rates as low as 2.875%, you can now save on your monthly mortgage or choose to cut years off your mortgage, saving tens of thousands. To learn more about your options, call Ray Cruz at 301-761-2278 or apply online at raypcruz.com.
Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Welcome back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, and thanks for joining us for episode 20. We have Coach O'Neill and Coach Turner in the studio as we do every week. Thanks, gentlemen, for opening your locker rooms to give us an inside look at your programs through the eyes of your coaches. Those were two fun segments. Now, let's get into our weekly sports wrap-up. NFL. Can the Steelers run the table? Here are their remaining games. At the Jaguars, home versus the Ravens. Already beat them, and the Ravens aren't playing super well right now. Home versus Washington. At the Bills. At the Bengals. And home versus the Colts. Then at the Browns.
I'm going to say they're talented enough to definitely run the table. You know, I'm going to circle the one.
Is a trap game in there?
It's not a trap game. It's the game that you can throw the records out. It's the Ravens.
Right.
And as you said, the Ravens have got a couple losses here that concerns you. But with a rivalry, you throw wins and losses or get thrown out the door. And that dude Lamar's due for a big one, and that could be that night.
Yeah, you say the Ravens. I actually circled the Bills as one where I think that they drop one. Are they talented enough? Can they do it? We're looking at this. Absolutely. I think they lose to the Bills, and I think one of those other teams, and people are going to laugh, Colts or Browns.
I would say the Colts
late in the
other
season.
One.
Sometimes
and here's the
Big
thing,
Ben's not playing, and because they want to rest their guys.
And do the Browns need that game to get into the playoffs?
Sure.
That kind of thing, right?
And something funny happens, but their Steelers are proven.
They're for real.
But if they go 15-0, I ain't got them losing to the Browns. I got Big Ben trying to get a 16-0 season.
You never know.
All right. AFC East, a little movement one way or another, and you could be looking at New England working their way right back into the conversation. Buffalo does lead that division, but Miami is winning. Last week I said, here come the Dolphins. Their last 5 games, Miami's winning by an average of 2 TDs or more, and New England just got a gut check win over the Ravens.
Anyone trying to build their team up from the ground up. Now, the Dolphins have a proud history. Look at what Miami did. I don't think Washington or the Jets are smart enough to do what Miami did. Now, granted, they got a great young quarterback there who's going to be, I think, a special player. Mm-hmm. But they had a stopgap with other quarterbacks, and they made the right decisions. New England, they got lucky last night. That was a torrential, freezing cold downpour. But they are working.
Whatever. Last week you told me, no, Ravens are a super strong 6-2.
Oh, is that what I said? Did I say it like that, Kurtis?
Yeah, you did.
Well, I'm not the one with the I have to back Casey on this one. Thank you. I think they were still a strong 6-2, and we talked about this pre-show.
Whatever.
Before Casey walked in, you can say whatever you want about the Pats. They're still coached by Bill Belichick,
right?
And for an ugly game, rain game, something that they could practice in that other teams might not be able to, he called the right game. He put in the right game plan to win that game. And even with the Ravens losing that game, they were a last-second drive from having a chance to still win the game. And again, I'll go back to with the Ravens, their losses to the GOAT of coaching,
right?
To the Steelers, who are undefeated,
right?
And the Chiefs,
right?
I'll take, if I'm the head coach for the Ravens right now, I can understand where we're at with those 3 losses.
And they're starting to get a little bit healthy. You saw who's the running back up there? Not Frank Gore. Who's the running back that's starting to come back?
You know, I'm not the NFL guy.
I should know this.
You know, I'm not either.
All right. Well,
we rely on you. You come up with all the stats. I'm relying on you.
I know. I just drew a blank on.
But either way, I'm not. I know.
Ravens.
I know this question wasn't about the Ravens, but
it was.
Don't count them out.
All right, we just covered that part. So
you talked about the movement in the AFC East. I think the problem for New England, too many losses early.
Right.
I don't know that if Buffalo and Miami can sustain what they've been doing and keep winning enough games,
right,
that New England can come back
Can't get in the conversation.
and get in the conversation. I think they'll make a run at it, but I don't know if they can get over the hump.
All right. Raiders sitting at 6-3. What's your updated opinion on them? Casey, I know you're not sold on them just yet, right?
I'm not sold on them. That's a quiet 6-3. That's one of those kind of like, really? They're 6-3?
Right. They play out there. I don't watch them too much.
But, for as much heck or hell that Chucky gets, I've always liked Gruden. He's always been entertaining. Right. I love his passion for the game. I still think they're just a very kind of a fake 6-3.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see.
I think you take the next 3 games to really figure out who they are and what they're really about.
Seahawks lost 3 of the last 4 to the Cardinals, Bills, Rams, and the one win they got was against a decimated 49ers team. What are you thinking about those Seahawks?
I still think they're legit. Their defense, which is hard to say. You think of the Seahawks, you think of their defense. You think of the 12th, the 13th, was it 12th man up there, and
which they don't have anymore.
They don't have that luxury. I still think they're right in the thick of it. That's going to be a fun race to watch in the NFC West. Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals. It's a fun group. And I'll be honest, the 49ers, if they were healthy, all 4 of those teams could go in.
Right.
I mean, they're all talented.
And we get an extra team this year, right? Extra team or 2?
I think so. Yeah. Should know this.
You go home and do some homework.
Well, you look again. Seahawks, I think, aren't out of the picture for sure.
All right,
but the 3 losses and those four losses or 4 games are
3 of those are to legit teams.
Three of the hotter teams in the league right now.
Right.
So it's gonna be fun. I think with all that we're going through and all that we're dealing with the COVID, I like to see some change up top. I'm tired of always watching the same guys win.
What you got, Coach?
Mark Ingram. Gosh, I can't believe it. Mark Ingram, running back, getting help.
Baltimore.
Okay. Baltimore. Not that they're a running back team. I wanted to make that statement.
But
he's a dude. But you need that.
But that's
in
what they need in their
January.
system.
You can't have Lamar running every single time, and you have a dude like that who can pound it, get 3 yards, 4 yards, a chunk.
That's what's definitely missing from them.
Speaking of Frank Gore,
that guy just made a legit one-handed catch, like all the way, not bringing it to his other hand. He just made a legit one-handed catch. I'm going to show it to you right there.
Well, he's one of the best receivers in the game.
He made a legit one-handed catch. They're about to re-show it. Sorry, guys, here's the catch. When you see this, he didn't catch with one hand and bring it to the other hand. He legit caught that with one hand the whole time and brought it in.
And
there it is right there. There it is.
Adam Thielen. There you go.
There you go.
Fantasy
one hand the whole way.
Stud.
Jets, are they going to win a game? The remaining games against the Chargers, Dolphins, Raiders, Seahawks, Rams, Browns, and Patriots.
Probably not, but I think they're okay with it. They get Trevor Lawrence in the draft. You get the first pick. But does Trevor say, no, I'm going to stay another year?
Does he pull an Eli?
Well, just say, I'm not going there.
Eli did not want to go to, what was it, San Diego had the first pick that year?
It was San Diego. Yeah, it was the Chargers.
Who didn't do half bad over the next several years. They picked up Breeze, right?
Phillip
Rivers, I'm sorry.
No, it was it Breeze? No. Could it was Breeze and then Rivers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you think? Are they going to win a game? The Jets? I'm going to turn it over to you.
They're going to steal one.
All right. So they're going to go 1-15. Like the Cowboys did that year. Cowboys lost everything. They won that one game against the Redskins, though.
They're going to steal one.
Speaking to your rivalry thing, right?
They're going to steal one.
All right. Let's just package this next one up. We got, coronavirus. A lot of games are being canceled. Will these teams still play a conference championship? Are we going to get to see Florida, Alabama, Notre Dame versus Clemson down the line? Notre Dame, who's in the ACC, as you pointed out a few weeks ago. Are we going to get to see those games? Or is this just going to be just a mess of stuff going on?
The next few weeks are definitely telling.
Right.
Scary. But I'm prayerful that we will. I keep saying NCAA, they want their money. They're gonna figure.
That was my point.
They're gonna figure this thing out
about
somehow.
The money.
They're gonna figure out some way to make sure those games get played
and to get some bowl games and the money that's invested. So they'll figure something out.
All right, we got to go quick, gentlemen. Our time's running out. Dustin Johnson, -20, breaking Tigers record at the Masters, 4 bogeys and 72 holes, never shot above a 70, 2 rounds of 65. He is your Masters green jacket guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's playing it right now.
Right?
He's a bad boy.
He is and he can hit the ball and he can putt. Married to Wayne Gretzky's daughter.
The great one.
You talked about this several weeks ago.
Yes, and I think those children are going to have some type of genes.
Something, right?
Something.
Anthony Davis opts out and will test the free agent market, and the Lakers sign Dennis Schroeder. If you're like me, you know that he's opting out because he wants more of that Lakers money, and they're ready to pay it.
He wants the years and the money.
Right.
It makes sense.
Don't take one more. Take 5.
They'll get it done.
Yeah.
They'll get that done.
And Dennis Schroeder, what does he do for that backcourt? They're saying Rondo won't re-sign is what they're thinking.
They're afraid of losing him. I don't even know they won't re-sign, but they're just afraid somebody else is going to be able to come in and offer him a little something better.
Right.
And he'll take it as he's he's
got 2 trophies
near the end of his career.
Right.
So Dennis Schroeder definitely provides a great backup plan.
Right.
Younger guy, defensive minded.
Who doesn't know what color he wants his hair to be.
Go with the other piece of that is can play off the ball as well and not as worried about having the ball in his hand, as we know LeBron really likes to run the point.
Right. CP3.
Sure says it all, baby.
He's on his way to Phoenix.
How many teams? Is that 3 teams in 4 years for CP3? I actually feel
Houston, OKC, and now Phoenix.
Yeah, it's 3 teams. But a player like him who is incredible, I always felt like I wish he was with somebody where he could have gotten to that next step.
Yeah,
he won't get it in Phoenix. I mean, he's going to be able to be a great role model for Devin Booker.
Of course.
I'm sorry, are you going there?
Well, I was going to go there with not just for Devin Booker, for that young team. They got the big fella too. So you got a guy now that can.
Is it Ayton?
Yep.
Yeah, they got Ayton. Yeah.
You got a big. You got a guy who's a leader. They can teach them not just stuff on the court. I mean, for reasons he's still playing is because he takes care of his body.
Right.
He can show these young guys the things that you need to be able to do to be able to be a winner.
And he's PA rep, right?
Say that again.
He's player association rep?
Yes, he is.
So there's more leadership.
Yes. I love CP3. He's been one of my favorite point guards.
Oh yeah.
And
what I'm saying, that you wish somebody like that
definitely.
who's worked a great a person as he is, worked as hard as he has, talented as he has, not to have a chance to raise that.
Yeah. I agree. I would agree.
And I think he may have made it right with himself that might not, happen. But look at his career. Look at and he's gotten a lot of injuries.
Right.
But he's found a way to maintain his relevance and to. I mean, I'm looking at him last year.
To be honest with you,
I'm looking at him last year. There's no way OKC is supposed to get that far.
No.
But leadership and a will to win, and he can still drop 30.
Sure.
He can still drop 30.
Yes, he can.
All right, NCAA basketball. Looks like as of today, the men's March Madness tournament will be held entirely, I guess, in a bubble in Indianapolis. How do you imagine this NCAA basketball season taking place? On the men's side.
Well, I think you're gonna see some of what you're seeing in
college football,
in all the sports right now, other than the sports that were in bubbles. There are going to be some games that are missed. I mean, what we get, Coach Boeheim just got COVID. We had who a couple weeks ago, Tom Izzo. So I mean, you're going to see it get around. It's going to be how are they able to manage making sure that they have enough guys that can play, and how they're managing the tracing, because if it's situations where everybody's off in masks, that shuts you down.
Right.
And I think their days are longer in terms of the shutdown compared to some of the other sports.
You already have some of the conferences, well, at least the Ivy, saying we're not doing winter sports.
Yeah, so.
Well, you look at college football, they've got 60, 70 guys on a roster. So you lose 4 or 5 guys. That's a different footprint when you lose 4 or 5 guys on a college basketball
roster.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the conferences have gone to some unique style of play, or I won't say style of play, but just how they're playing the games. So you got, I think, the CAA, the AAC, Big South, and maybe 1 or 2 other conferences where they're playing back-to-back.
I saw that with the Ivy League.
So if you got, let's say, JMU heading to Delaware, they're going to play them on a Friday and a Saturday.
Right.
Or a Saturday, Sunday. So you're playing the same team on their home court back-to-back. So they're trying to create somewhat like what I would call like a weekend bubble.
Yeah.
Right. All right. That is our weekly sports wrap-up. Let's take a break.
Be sure to listen at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or Google Podcasts. Download the app and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode of Take It to You with Turner and O'Neill.
At Peace Players International, we use the power of sport to unite, educate, and inspire young people to create a more peaceful world. We offer sport programming, peace education, and leadership development to those living in communities of conflict. We challenge the hate that is driven by the fear of our differences. Find out more at www.peaceplay.org. www.peaceplayers.org.
We invite your questions, comments, and show ideas. Simply go to www.turnerandoneal.com and click Submit an Idea.
Connect with us socially on Instagram and Facebook at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, on YouTube, just search Turner and O'Neill, then subscribe. And of course, you can visit our website at www.turnerandoneal.com. Building your brand is an important part of your business growth. By partnering with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill, you'll gain the exposure and brand recognition behind our podcast. With thousands of listeners, subscribers, and website visitors, your company will benefit from our popularity online and during the podcast. Our partners also benefit from our exposure on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and Apple Podcasts. Inquire today and let's partner to build your brand.
The 2-Minute Drill.
Ladies and gentlemen, back with another week to talk fantasy football. Our man from Capitol Grill, downtown D.C., Joey T.
Hello, everyone. How we doing today?
What's up, Joey? We had a fascinating week in football, but I need to hear from you. Talk to me about what you saw and where the points came from last week.
Oh, man, a group of running backs put out some work this weekend. Josh Jacobs, for the first time since really week one, he had 112 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, and 24 yards in the air. Not a bad day for him. Ronald Jones, big homie down in Tampa Bay. He broke off a 98-yard touchdown run, looked super explosive. He had 192 total yards on the day on the ground. No real catches, 1 catch for 4 yards. That's not much, but still a big day for him. And then, unfortunately, DeAndre Swift ran all over my Washington football team as his breakout game of the season and potentially his career for 81 yards on the ground, 5 catches for 68 yards, and a touchdown through the air.
All right, Joey, talk to me about who did not perform, who underperformed this past weekend.
Marquise Brown. The Baltimore Ravens offense has not done what everybody expected it to do. Marquise Brown has not taken that next step, and that might be some of Lamar Jackson's fault, but we will see moving forward. 2 catches for 14 yards. He was a popular breakout candidate this year, has not done it. An actual stud this year, A.J. Brown, also let a lot of fantasy managers down. 1 catch for 21 yards. The dagger was he dropped a 60-yard touchdown pass that hit him in the hand. So that was painful. Yes. And then Joshua Kelly. You know, he was a hot name after Eckler went down. But, I mean, he literally has Kalen Ballage stealing his reps and his touches. He had 21 yards. He's not doing anybody any favor.
All right, what are you looking at this week, Joey? What's important to you in the world of fantasy football?
Well, as I mentioned last week, as the weather gets worse, running backs tend to be at a premium. Check your waiver wires for LaMike P. Ryan, rookie running back for the Jets. He was on a bye last week. The coach said he's going to give him opportunities as a workhorse. Because he's an unknown, there's a very good chance he is going to be on your waiver wire. Scoop him up if you can. Aside from that, grab the handcuffs for the workhorse running back. Now's the time they start getting dinged, especially after lots of heavy workloads throughout the season. We already saw Derrick Henry go off the field for a couple snaps because of a shoulder injury this weekend. Odonta Foreman and Jerry McNichols started seeing some work. James Conner, workhorse in Pittsburgh. Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland out of Maryland would be his potential handcuffs. These are guys you want to just kind of pick up and throw on the end of your bench and hope that they hit down the line if there is to be an injury. A couple more names, Brian Hill, the backup to Todd Gurley. He's actually had some big games, but he hasn't done much recently. Jacksonville Jaguars have that rookie sensation, James Robinson, getting all the touches out of the backfield. But if something were to happen to him, Devin Ozigbo or Dare Agabuwale would be his handcuffs. And last but not least, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, rookie running back. Fantasy managers have been a little down on him because he hasn't scored a lot of touchdowns, but he's top 5 in rushing yards for the year. Darwin Thompson and Darrell Williams would slot into his role if he were to go down with an injury.
And you know what? You called it because you saw what happened in Foxborough between the Patriots and Ravens. That was a crappy weather game. So we need to be looking at stadiums. We need to be looking at forecasts, outdoor versus indoor, and who's going to perform. That's a great tip. Pick up yourself a running back who might get touches because some guys are getting dinged up. We're getting to that time of year, huh, Joey?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hope you stayed away from that Browns game last week, too. It was awful weather and even worse fantasy production.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he's Joey T. He's at Capitol Grill, downtown D.C. You can find him on Twitter, Joey T5656. Thank you, Joey.
Thank y'all very much. Good luck this weekend.
All right, fella.
The final word is brought to you by
Healthy Baller. Become your own success story. At Healthy Baller, our team of specialists is committed to providing injury recovery and strength and conditioning training tailored to individual needs. Watching our clients break barriers fuels our passion for athletic development. With scheduled sessions or drop-in classes, Healthy Baller has a success story waiting for you. We offer group and team training, individual workouts, or semi-private training. Call 844-622-5537 or visit healthyballer.com.
Now, back to Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to become a friend of the program. We rely on contributions to bring this podcast to you each week. Contribution amounts start at $25, and of course, your contribution will get your name listed on our website and mentioned each week as a friend of the podcast. We also offer advertising opportunities for businesses looking to gain exposure. Each week, our podcast is listened to and viewed by thousands. Last week, gentlemen, 3,500 people viewed it, and hundreds more are listening to it. Become a donor, sponsor, or partner. We will connect you with our audience. Exposure with Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill includes advertising across 15 podcast platforms, YouTube, and on our website. Visit our website to view our 2021 sales kit, www.turnerando'neill.com, and click partnerships. You know how to find us on Facebook and Instagram. Wherever you Google anything, just type in Turner and O'Neill, and I promise you we'll come up. We come up in places I didn't even know platforms we were on, but there we are. Feel free to email your show questions, content ideas, comments, and critiques. We want to hear the good and the bad because we want to know how we can get better and bring you the content you want. Turner O'Neill podcast at gmail.com. Before we sign off, we must thank our engineer. Why is Paula's name still in the script? I got to make that edit. She's wonderful, but Krissy, thank you.
Krissy.
You are our engineer. So I got to remember to fix that, Krissy. You know, can you engineer the script as well? Because clearly I can't get it together. But Krissy, good episode, and thank you for being here as always.
Always a good episode with you guys. You never know quite what we're going to get.
We try. I know next week we don't know what we're going to get next week thanks to you, Krissy.
Oh, a timeout hoarder? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Hollywood the Hoarder.
Hollywood Hoarder.
She's been working on that one, the Hollywood Hoarder. All right.
You're supposed to be on my side, Krissy.
Oh, man. I like it. I must thank you two gentlemen, Coach Turner and Coach O'Neill. Thanks to our donor sponsors and partners, we encourage our audience to support those who support us. Gentlemen, well, I'm going to come to you last because you have the quote. Coach Turner, any final thoughts?
Another great episode. Good to hear from our assistant coaches and their perspectives on the program and how their role makes everything work. If you're an assistant coach out there, listen to some of their keywords. I think you can make sure that you're able to help and support your head coaches in different ways by listening to both Coach Hill, Coach King. Blessed to have those guys on I Street. I'm certainly going to miss Coach Hill, but I know he's only a phone call away, so he'll always be there for me.
All right. Coach O'Neill, in addition to your final thoughts, you get the quote, so take it away, sir.
You got it.
Time out. We get Cole back soon, right? We didn't talk about Cole at all.
Coming back this Saturday. Back
getting your main man.
Getting my best friend back. He's coming back.
More testosterone in the house.
That's right. Now we can continue to play that zone with the three ladies, but still I got my partner in crime. Cole's coming back. So just a message to all the kids out there that are coming back. Please drive safe, be careful, and make sure to wear those masks because you're coming home seeing grandparents or whoever. We want to make sure that we're being smart here. Tonight's show, amazing. Love the assistant coaches. I think people slowly but surely realizes that the village, Kurtis, as you always mention, the village it takes to build these programs, and it's those assistant coaches behind the scenes who deserve their names in print
Can't do it
to
without
be
them.
recognized.
Definitely can't do it.
right.
Tonight's quote, I think I alluded to it a little bit before. Average players want to be left alone. Good players want to be coached. Great players want to be told the truth. Doc Rivers.
Krissy, pull the plug.
Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill would like to thank our partners, sponsors, and donors. Our partners, the Tamara Cusick Team, Dynamic DJ Entertainment, Ray Cruz and MCF Mortgage, Healthy Baller, and Insurance Alliance Group LLC. Our sponsors, O'Neill Development LLC, Next Level Lacrosse, Peace Players International, A Squared Home and Office Solutions, and Collins Funeral Home. Our donors, Redwood Investments, Justin O'Neill, donor, and Winsight Media. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is produced by Kurtis Cross and engineered by DJ Krissy. All material is the exclusive property of the podcast and may not be copied, rebroadcast, or used in any way without written consent of the podcast. The views, ideas, and commentary of podcast guests are solely their own and not necessarily endorsed by the podcast. You may submit questions, podcast ideas, and commentary to turnero'neillpodcast@gmail.com. No compensation is offered for submitted material. Should we choose to use your idea, comment, or question, you agree to your likeness, social media identity, and/or information being used on the podcast. Take a TO with Turner and O'Neill is recorded weekly and distributed via Google Podcasts, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and other popular podcast platforms. Some portions of the podcast may be pre-recorded. Be sure to search and subscribe. Join us socially on Facebook and Instagram at Turner O'Neill Podcast, on Twitter at Turn On Podcast, and on YouTube. Search Turner and O'Neill and subscribe. Our website is www.turnerando'neill.com. Partnership opportunities are available.